welcome to New Trends with Matilda, aka Mati Fire. So guys, today we're going to talk about the amendment bill that was passed by the Senate against sexual harassment in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. So let's try. In recent times, stories have been flying around concerning the situation of things in Nigerian universities, especially the case of sexual harassment of the female students by the lecturer or staff in the university. The tertiary institutions in Nigeria have been fraught with incidents of sexual harassment and academic corruption in form of cash or sex for grade, otherwise known as certain. Now, this has been a mole and a termite that has eaten deep into our academic system and should be eradicated immediately. Well, on the 8th of July, the Senate, led by Ahmed Lawal, read for the third term the Sexual Harassment Amendment Bill of Federal Universities. Lecturers or staff in the university must not, I repeat, must not date nor have any sexual relationship with their students, except on the grounds of marriage. That is, if the lecturer and the student are legally married. Guys, I'd like to read out the offenses that are punishable by jail terms from this bill. And the offense number 1 states that if a lecturer, that is he or she, has sexual intercourse with a student or demands for sex from a student or a prospective student. Or number 2 says if he or she intimidates or creates a hostile environment for the student by soliciting for sex from the student or making sexual advances towards the student. Number 3 says that if he or she directs or induces another person to commit any act of sexual harassment under this bill, or cooperates in the commission of sexual harassment by another person without which it would not have been committed at all. Now, if you are guilty of offense number 1, 2, 3, you are liable to a jail term of 14 years. Guys, 14 good years and not less than 5 years without an option of a fine. Now, the offense number 4 says that if he or she grabs, hugs, kisses, rubs, or strokes, or touches, or pinches the breasts, or hair, or lips, or hips, or buttocks, or any other sensual part of the body of a student. Or number 5 says if he or she displays, gives, or sends by hand, or courier, or electronic, that is phone, or any other means, naked or sexually explicit pictures or videos or sex-related objects to a student. Or number 6, that's finally, it says that if he or she whistles or winks at a student or screams or exclaims or jokes or makes sexually complimentary or uncomplimentary remarks about a student's physique or stalks a student. Now, if a staff in the university is found guilty of the offense number 4, 5, and 6, they will be charged to 5 years imprisonment and not less than 2 years without the option of a fine. That means you cannot pay your way out of this one. You can't. Now, one would ask, what about student offenses and their penalties? I mean, what if a student actually falsely accuses a lecturer of sexually harassing them just to spite them or for whatever reason they might have? And what could be their punishment? Well, in this bill, guys, it's only stated that such student may be suspended. That's it, only a possible suspension, and that's all. Then I'll ask, what about students that actually send out sexual signals to their young male lecturers? Yeah, or students that actually offers themselves for sex in exchange for good grades. What about them? What could be done to such students? Well, guys, on this bill, there's no such offense. In fact, it wasn't stated, there was no penalty and nothing. But for one, I do think the Senate should look into that as well, because some of these students do not take their academics seriously at all. And as such, they tend to seek for extra help and at times offer themselves for sex in exchange for good grades in some courses, or even offer cash sometimes. So I do think a bill should be drawn up for such students. Or what do you think, guys? What are your thoughts on this? Now, another thing that could be pointed out as the cause of sexual harassment in tertiary institutions these days is the high rate of indecent dressings. Yeah, that could put the male lecturers in compromising position. Now, I, for one, I don't know how that could be curtailed or anything that could be done about that, but I do commend the actions of that lecturer in University of Lagos that actually ran out of his office. Yeah, he ran out of his office to go call on his colleagues to come rescue him from the half-naked student that came to his office just to lure him into having sex with her in exchange of passing his course. Now, according to the man, he said that he was highly aroused when the student bent over to tell him to help her pass his course. In fact, it took all his willpower to jump up and run out of his office just to go call his colleagues to come rescue him. Now, so I beg, all our male lecturers, I beg. See, if running or shouting or screaming, if it's what it takes for you to avoid 14 years of jail term or 5 years of jail term, I beg, run. If that me, I race, I go tear guy. Run for your lives. And avoid all this Jezebel, I beg. And please, do uphold your professional ethics. Okay, guys? Yeah, thanks. And then I'd like to also point out that in this bill, there is nothing like mutual consent. I mean, mutual consent does not hold up as a defense for any form of sexual practices between a lecturer or a staff and a student, except on the grounds of marriage. So, let's be guided. I'd like to also advise every student and every lecturer or staff out there to get a copy of this bill, study it, and understand it to avoid future controversies. Because I know no go save you from 14 years jail term. Okay, guys, yeah, I'd like to know your opinion and your thoughts on this bill. Do you think this bill is biased? Do you think it places a gun on the hands of the students against their lecturers and their staff? Or do you think this bill will be a problem to the process of teaching and learning in tertiary institutions? What are your thoughts on this bill? Your opinions and comments are welcomed down on our comment section. And that's it. Catch you next time on Nutrients with Matilda, aka Matifire, on OCO TV. And do well to follow us on all our social media handles, turn on your post notification, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe.